Thanks, Madam Speaker. My question's to the Premier. Premier, we've all been working together to apply one key principle to Tasmania's pandemic response. People first, no one left behind. Premier, the Greens believe the same should be applied to this island's social and economic recovery. Regrettably, your government is trying to make divisive and flawed major projects legislation the centrepiece of Tasmania's recovery. Premier, surely you recognise this isn't going to do the trick. Your decision announced today not to flog the Treasury building is now a sign major private investment is some way off. Premier, there's an alternative. We know the construction industry is worried about their work drying up within 6 months. We also know Tasmania desperately needs more affordable housing. Your government could ramp up the construction of this critical social infrastructure and at the same time help to drive this island's recovery. Premier, do you agree that a successful rebuild will be one that prioritises people and planet over corporate profiteering? Will you commit to strong investment in social housing to help guarantee more Tasmanians can access a secure and affordable home?
Thank you. The Honourable the Premier.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Leader of the Greens, Ms O'Connor, Member for Clark, for that question and her enduring interest in the matter of the major projects legislation. One which I think will be an enduring disagreement between herself and myself in terms of the need for that framework legislation. Now, just in terms of the legislation itself, obviously we have extended the period for public consultation, taking into account the fact that we have a pandemic underway. But there still remains in Tasmania the need for legislation to deal with complex projects that are either outside that are either outside of the scope of a local government's capacity. Or may require complex decisions to be made, and it's best to have a panel put in place.
Commission is for. They
best to put an assessment panel in place for these projects. And again, I would make the point that in terms of the ultimate decision, in terms of our major projects legislation, that is not a matter for government. That is not a matter for government. That would be made by an independent panel, at arm's length from the government. But setting that aside, one thing that I do strongly believe in is this: that we need to ensure that as we step our way through this, that we never lose sight of the need for kindness, gratitude, and respect.
Exactly.
And that will be really important. Be really important as we move into the next phase of the recovery from the challenges that we've had in recent times. And I do want to put firmly on the record for Tasmanians who in some cases will be feeling frustrated in terms of the fact that their business has been taken away from them, or they can't enjoy some of the activities that they were in the past, and that moving forward, that we will always, for a period, always for the period that the pandemic and before there is a vaccine, which hopefully will arrive, that they will have to endure some form of social distancing. Now, that will be frustrating for many Tasmanians, and I can understand that. And so I'd say to people, please act with kindness, please act with gratitude, and please show respect. It will be important as a community that we continue to do that, because I think that goes to the heart of what is Tasmanian. Now, in terms of your question regarding other infrastructure that may be considered, as we work our way through this, you're aware that I've established the Premier's Economic and Social Recovery Advisory Council. Matters such as infrastructure, whether it be housing, whether it be working on our schools, whether it be looking at key transport routes, all of those matters will be looked at. We have a budget with a wealth of projects across it. What we will be looking to do is to ensure that we can deliver where there is the greatest need, but importantly, where we can get people back to work. And one of the key things that is certainly exercising my mind as we move our way through this is to ensure that those people that were connected with the jobs market in some way only a short handful of weeks ago are the ones that we can, if necessary, help to retrain, help to reskill, help to get into those industries that are going to endure and be able to continue through this, this pandemic. For some industries, it will be a slow step back. For others, such as in the construction trades, and I'm glad that you're supporting the construction sector.
Always have.
And I'm not making a point that you haven't. We've sometimes disagreed about what we might build, but in terms of having people out there swinging hammers and using power saws, like I think we can both agree, that would be a good outcome if we could have more Tasmanians employed. And so, in terms of how we step through this and how we rebuild a stronger Tasmania as a result, construction will play a key part, and obviously we will be looking at all of the opportunities that we have across our Tasmanian community in terms of the projects that we might bring forward.
Thank you. Madeline Logan.